What's up, guys? You're tuned into the Off Limits podcast, the one conversation where nothing is off limits. Gunshots. Okay. As you can see, I'm your host, Joyce, and I am back with our most requested guest.
Okay. Hey guys. Hey.
I don't even think you need an intro anymore.
Okay, yeah, I'm back. Yeah,
We're back with Bimpe.
I'm here for a bit.
People call you Bimpe or Ada Bimpe?
Bimpe, please.
Okay, cool.
Well,
I've never called you Ada Bimpe.
Bimpe, innit? Because it's easier, so just flow. You know.
Okay, cool. And what are we discussing today? I'll let you introduce this topic today.
Okay. So in this episode, we're talking about pain and trauma.
Oh.
Trauma and how to deal with pain, how to deal with trauma, how to deal with your childhood, how to deal with, not how per se, but discussing our journey.
Yeah.
Discussing how we've maneuvered where we are and the effects.
How we dealt with
how we've dealt with it. How
we haven't dealt with.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Ooh.
For me, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. So, I'm going to ask you.
Okay, where do you want to start?
So, I would say...
I feel like I'm in the hot seat.
Come
on.
Come on. But I would say, what comes into your mind when we talk about pain and trauma and childhood? So those three things.
It's funny you should say that, because when you say pain and trauma, I tend to link it to childhood anyway for a lot of people, because I feel like that's where a lot of things start from. And you spend the rest of your life figuring out that the way you are now is because of things that happened back then.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the case for 90% of people on this earth. Like, you spend so much time being like, and then like realizing, wait, why am I like this? What's happened? Why do I think like this? And you realize it's stuff that was like ingrained in you from when you were like really young. And traumatic experiences might be different for different people. It might not always be like a huge, I saw someone get shot or get stabbed. It might just be like the simple things in their day to day, and that was quite traumatizing. Like maybe constantly being broke, not having food on the table, that's traumatizing. Wow. And then maybe it like motivates you later on. That's what comes to mind.
It's like healthy.
What about, but then also more recently, like I start to think of like trauma, but like for people that are going through things and you might not necessarily think what they're going through is trauma. And this one, like, weird thing, because people don't necessarily think of this, but like roadmen, the stuff that they see on a daily basis, maybe not so, I don't know if we call them roadmen now the way we used to back then, but like PTSD and that kind of stuff is real. Why do we limit trauma. That? Like, it's trauma, and I don't know why we limit that just to
very
people,
serious
like
trauma.
No disrespect, but people that have been in the army and stuff. Why does it not apply to people that have seen their friends get stabbed in front of them, that have been like constantly slammed in front of like cars and been stopped and searched consistently? Why doesn't like that kind of like, why don't we call that trauma? That's just my 2 pence, but
you're getting deep.
Oh yeah, on your part, like, what do you think of?
What do I think of? I think similar to you. I would say childhood, and I would say events in your life that have left something in you that may not have been there otherwise if you didn't go through it. It could be a behavior, it could be a thought pattern, it could be an action. That's what I think what you said is important. It actually can be anything. Trauma could mean you being in an accident, or trauma could mean someone forgot to pick you up from school, and like ever since then you've just felt rejected. Yeah. And then it's just spiraled.
Stop.
Why?
That's so bad of me. Because I'm just like, Bimpe, you can't give me something, but when I said it could be anything. But I mean, different experiences are different. Let me know. I shouldn't even know. But that's the role. Like, because sometimes you might say something that's traumatic to you, and it's just like, to someone else, it's just like, what the hell? Like, to me, that sounded like...
Imagine someone not picking you up from school. Like,
my mum was late to pick me up to school every day in primary school. So, do you get it? That's why you put your hand up straight away, because it's...
Is that like, trauma for you?
No. It's standard,
but you've got used to it. Okay.
I think everyone's like, it depends on your capacity, on what you can handle, and maybe that's the most traumatic thing. For someone else, there might be more traumatic things. Hence why that is. I'll just leave it at that.
But that's what I would say. I'll just say trauma, something that's negatively impacted you. But I think, in regards to what you said in that example, I think something that's stayed with you for longer, that's actually impacted you. Do you get what I mean? So
Okay. First thing that comes into your mind when you think, or when you hear trauma?
Do you know what? I think I can only speak for what I know, but I would say a lot of African children are growing up with trauma. A lot of children from our culture are growing up with trauma that they may not necessarily address. I think a lot of us are walking in the trauma of our parents.
Yeah, 100.
We're forced to it. And I think it may not even be you're angry. It may mean you're not even walking in purpose. Like, do you know what I mean? You're doing a job out of fear that you'll never have money. You know, even do you know what I mean? I noticed I was walking in trauma of poverty. Like, I was so stingy with money, Joyce.
Yeah.
Joyce, money. Hey! Like, savings. Right now, I'm probably the most free. Like, but I always had to have money in my account because I knew what having no money can
like,
do.
yeah.
Not even feels. Just seeing it. Just seeing bailiffs being like, we're coming, they're coming in. That trauma for me meant I can never be broke.
Yeah. Do you know what I think is so mad about that? Because now, you know, when you're young and you hear stories about like, oh, bailiffs and like at the time when you hear it, like maybe from the perspective of like a teacher or like a school teacher, it's like, oh my God, that's terrible.
I know,
but for a lot of kids, it's the norm.
I'm telling you.
You never know it's the norm. Like, not that it should be the norm, but when you hear like Stormzy, I feel like I'm always bringing up Stormzy whenever you're
She loves Stormzy, man.
It's when you're here. I think it's just something, but it's like
Stormzy, I'm gonna see you soon.
It was something. I remember he's talking about it's a song about his mum, and it's just like always in and out of beef with the bailiffs, and I'm just like. Also, everyone's in and out of beef with the bailiff. Like, it's a proper common thing, and I feel like a lot of because. I've been reading like a book and I'm almost done, and it's Slaying Your Lane, Black Girl Bible, and it talks about like the idea that a lot of young black people tend to be quite like not money motivated, but we're very entrepreneurial. Like, it's just like we need to make it, not necessarily that we all make it, but we all have like a hustle mindset. And I don't think it's a coincidence that with a lot of these people, you find that their parent, it all stems from, I've seen my mum be broke, I can't be broke. I see my mum doing shifts and I can't be doing shifts like that. So I think 100% what you're saying about things like that being traumatic, like, it's so real.
But I think it's real, but it needs to be addressed. It's unhealthy. It's unhealthy. Like, I think it's so important, I feel like, for this next generation, that the baggage that our parents have brought, I think they've done us a service by bringing us to this country already. But I think we do a disservice by not addressing their trauma and addressing how it's affected us. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of us live in fear just because our parents' aim when they got here was just to survive. And then we're dealing with the trauma of, but mum, we don't need to just survive anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't need to be a doctor. But it's like, how are you addressing it? And even where I was even gonna ask, how do you address trauma? Like, how have you addressed any trauma you've been through? Because I remember we spoke about our parents. So we're both from single parent homes. Yeah. How have you dealt with that? Has that even been trauma for you?
Has that been trauma? Because I feel like I know my dad, so it's not a situation where it's just like, oh, you don't know a parent. Because I feel like that in itself has different trauma. And one thing as well, like, I'm even like people with both parents in the household can also
go through trauma, like serious
daddy issue things and stuff like that. I don't know. Well, how would I say I dealt with it personally? I feel I was very like grown up, but quite angry, and so I didn't address it as trauma. I think it's different once you actually see it as trauma and you see it. Oh, this is why you're like this, and you've been lashing out at this kind of stuff, but this is why, and you're reserved, but this is why. That's when you start to realize, oh, it's traumatic, and that's when I felt like you're kind of faced with a situation where it's like, am I going to deal with it, or do I just like kind of push it to the side? I'm not going to lie to you, I push it to the side because it's just like, okay, well, I mean, I've made it to this stage and I'm okay, like, let's keep it moving kind of thing, until you realize that there's certain situations, like the older you get, for example, like I think with my head, and I know people that are into star sign will tell you that it's because you were born in this month and that's why, like, you're meant to be, like, that's why you think with your head.
That's so juju.
Sorry. But personally for me, I'm just like, no, like, I feel like I'm very like, even if like my emotions get in the way, I know I'm just like, no, like, the likelihood is you're saying this right now, like, even like say in a relationship sense, I'll be like, you're saying that you're gonna do this, but the likelihood is you're not going to do that. So let me kind of like pattern myself, and you like, I will take in what you say. It will go in one ear and straight out the other, and I will make sure it goes out of the other, because you're going to mess up, and I will be here waiting for you to mess up.
Okay.
I might not tell you, but I know, like, in hindsight. So by the time you do mess up, I'm like, well, I expected it anyway, and like, it's kind of, it's like nothing new kind of thing. So I would say in that sense, my idea of dealing with it for then was kind of maybe not necessarily have your guard up, but it's kind of like have an expectation that someone's gonna do maybe the negative things that I've seen before.
Disappointment.
So that, disappointment. Like, assume you're gonna disappoint me so that when it happens, I don't have to be disappointed. But in that's a madness. So you're going to spend this much time being disappointed for something that someone hasn't done yet, in the hope, not in the hopes, in the expectation that they're going to do it. And then so that you can spend this much time not having to be disappointed, even though you lived in disappointment for this much time, waiting for them to do it. It's a madness. And I think like when it kind of came to that point, I was realizing, I'm just like, yo, like, you need to do something about this. Like, even if you don't know how to address it, but I think the first part is for me, I felt like just in one situation was acknowledging that this is a problem.
I think that's the first step.
Like, with anything, like, acknowledge that it's a problem, and acknowledge, like, and kind of sit down as well, like, and see, where did it start from? Why am I like this? And how has it affected me? Once you start to realize that it is affecting you, like, acknowledge the problem, and then admit that it's affecting you, and then move from there.
So how would you say you've moved? How would you say you're moving? Or how do you have you done anything to address that trauma other than change your behavior patterns and not think that people are always trying to?
I feel like that's just like one example, but in general, I would say like, I've always really wanted to. I've always really wanted to do therapy, but I'm just like, I want to go with somebody. I'm like, it needs to be a stranger, but it also needs to be someone who knows who understands kind of like the cultural and the like cultural kind of environment you're coming from, and that kind of thing as well. On your part, before I even flip into like another story, on your part, what would you say is like one, like an example of anything that you feel comfortable sharing that's like something traumatic that you feel you're working on, or you've been working
on? I would probably say my dad, because I didn't grow up with him, and I think I grew up not knowing who he was until a certain age, and even the way I found out wasn't how I would want my child to find out. But I would say just dealing with that level of rejection, knowing that someone knows you exist, but they've made no effort to work with you. But then I think, especially as a child, you're looking at other people and they have that relationship with your dad. And my mum never actually said, oh, this is it, this is why. More so it was a bit of jabs. Do you get what I mean? Like, I'm the only one looking after you. And I share that because I know someone will be able to relate. And I also want that person to feel like it's not okay, but you're okay. Do you get what I mean? You're not alone. But I would say it was very hard. I feel like I never really addressed it, but I remember there were times where maybe I would fail in an exam and I'd be like, it's just because I don't have a dad. I don't have someone there to support me. And these things knocked my confidence, it knocked my self-esteem, it knocked everything. And I feel like when I did now start speaking to my dad, I had brushed those things aside and I had grown beyond it. But then now having to have a relationship with him brought it up. And I feel like you spoke about therapy, and I think that's one thing that I've started to do. So I've started counselling, and I think the reason why is because I feel like not dealing with trauma can really slow you down, especially in your journey in life. I think the scary thing is, and I feel like that's why I wanted to talk about it, because I've noticed that the more that I've delved in deep with my trauma, Bimpe, that is why friends, people, invest what? Do you get what I mean? I can strongly relate to that disappointment. And because of that, I never put anything in. I would never invest. Even sometimes now, if I meet new people, I'm always wary, like, are they going to stab me in the back? Like, people are just mad, like, is this person going to go missing? But I feel like it's being like foundation. Like, it's so important to deal with these issues, because being successful, you need people.
Yeah.
If I relate this one person who can open this door to me to my dad who left me and feel rejected, how can I move?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? So I feel like that has been one that has affected me, just because it's never been addressed. I've never known the backstory. I've never known, or even now that I speak to him, I've never had a choice to acknowledge my own feelings. And to be honest, I thank God. That's what I always say. I'm a story of grace. Like, do you get what I mean? In a way, this could have turned out so wrong. I could have gone different ways. I could be really down. I could just be someone who walks through life with no self-esteem, and that can never be me, because that's not what I've been created to be. But I would say it's important. Address your trauma. Find someone to speak to. Pray about it. Work with God. But it's key, because I think the fear is, and I think you find that at uni. I think uni, you find a lot of mad people, and you think everyone's just mad. But uni is a perfect environment to catch someone out. Do you know what I mean?
You see home training.
you see it. You see.
And lack of. I would say home training in a sense of, you see like people's experiences and how it's
family,
formed them to be who they are now. Like who they are, and who the person you now have to deal with is like, they're an accumulation of all the experiences that they've been through. And
key.
Because you'll meet, and I feel sometimes like, I thought the best thing is when you start to kind of address like your own like traumatic experiences or things that have genuinely like, affected you, you kind of understand, not excuse, but you understand other people and why they're the way they are. They might have not necessarily can see that, they've gone through like a traumatic experience and now they're lashing out. But it's a lot easier for you to see like, you haven't dealt with your own trauma yet, and I'm not gonna let how you the fact that you haven't dealt with your trauma now come and affect me, because I can see like it's not just you lashing out at me, it's an accumulation of everything that
and your trauma
that you haven't dealt with, and now you're bringing that to the table with me. So you go sit over there. Sometimes it's okay. So sit there, deal with your trauma, and then when
that's
you dealt with it, then let's come and have a conversation.
Yeah, because you're still dealing with your trauma. I feel like, and I think is really key, because I've seen some people really break down, and like, when I say fall out of society, actually fall out of society because they have not known how to address their trauma, and they don't know how to address other people's traumas. We all have trauma. We all have something. There's no one that's going to tell me, oh, I haven't been through this. But I feel like the key is navigating it. Because I feel like as well, when we're a generation where we're shining more, everyone can see you more. But what's scary is, I find it so funny that people can think that I can't see your trauma, like I can't see it in your body act. Do you get what I mean? Like, I think it's key, especially if you're trying to not come out public, whatever you do in life anyway. If you're trying to live authentically, you need to deal with what may prevent you from being authentic, because people can see. I think people can see
it. I feel like, and even sometimes if it's not people can see, I feel like you feel it.
That's key.
Like, there's certain things that people can look at and be like I remember one like experience, like it doesn't even matter. Like, I was like abused when I was like younger, and then after I never like, I think I didn't I addressed it by telling a when I grew older, and that went left because she then used it against me in front of other people.
That's disgusting.
That is spirit. That in itself was like very I think more so what was traumatizing was what she did, like in terms of like the exposure and how that just continued escalating. That was more traumatizing to me than what had happened. Do you know what I mean? But in that, I remember at some point, I'm just like, well, everyone knows that, let me just like share it. So then in sharing it was a lot, what the response I kept getting to a lot of people was like, wait, but you don't carry yourself like that, so I never would have thought like that would have happened, and that's like the response. And it's just like, people might not, just because you can't see like their trauma on the surface level doesn't mean it's not something they're necessarily carrying with them like in their day to day. And I feel like it's just so important, like, you're not alone, to like know that you're not alone in your trauma, like in your
journey.
There's 7 billion or 8 billion now? No, 7 billion people on this earth.
How many?
But there's not, there's a bag of man on this one. But there's like so many people and sometimes you feel like your situation is so specific, like it's so unique. Like no one else has gone through this thing besides me. Like no one else has had. I'm like, no, but you don't know how I feel because it never happened to you like that. And it's like narcissist. 7 billion people on this earth. Like
Trauma's
trauma, and somebody out there knows how you feel, and you're not alone in your trauma. And there are other people. Like there's lessons to be learned from everybody. I feel like you can, just because you can't see how someone next to you is like carrying their trauma, it doesn't mean like that's the only place you have to look. Like it's there.
That's so key.
Just look elsewhere. Like find stuff that you can learn from in a sense.
And you know what? I think that's key. I feel like even sometimes if I share certain stuff with people, like, oh really? Oh, like you've maneuvered. Yeah. And I think I don't want to say I don't swear, but the only thing I can think of is BS. Do you get what I mean? I think the beginning of trauma is to understand, you know what, you're not alone. But I think it's how are you gonna work around it? Do you get? I think that was with me was speaking to someone. I had a learning mentor, so she helped. There's some things I didn't speak about that I'm now having to work on. Yeah. And I think especially in the light of we spoke about being an entrepreneur, even working, I feel like for you to like you may not even be reach your next level because of trauma. And it's not the trauma, it's the behavior of the trauma. It's the effect do you get what I mean? It's the fact 100. You can't keep friends. Yes. No one likes you. It's like no, but we're being real though. Yeah, we're being real. And I'm just like, and sometimes I'm like, the more you know about yourself, the more you can see. That's what I'm saying. I'm just like, can you see that there's a pattern? No. And sometimes it's like, look outside of yourself. Look outside of yourself and deep. Like, okay, if you were somebody else, what advice would you give to yourself? Like, you would see, like, I actually can't keep a friendship. Like, every day I've got to swap between different friendship let's talk about this social media thing of cutting people off. Because I used to be a block queen.
I'm a very...
I went on my phone.
Like, you're gone like, and I thought no way about it.
I saw my block list. I was like, Bimpe. I was like, girl. And honestly, I've changed because not everyone's out to hurt you. And I think for me, it's not everyone's out to hurt you, so your trauma is not valid. But I think in light of what we do, in light of how we said we want our podcast for people to learn. Yeah. I think it's key to assess, like, you have to move and you have to assess. And I feel like in a world that is run by humans, you've got to play the game. Yeah. And I think it's learning to pull back on things that you may feel that it's okay. Oh, you know what, Africans, we don't speak about it. Okay, don't speak about it. But then it means you can't maneuver in life. You don't know how to network. You don't know how to awkward. Network, yeah. No, but no, okay. No, I'm not shading. I'm just saying you're awkward though. Yeah. Do you get what I mean? Okay. And I think some people know, oh, like, this is why. But they're so comfortable in it. They soak in it, but then they complain. But then you complain. So which one do you want to do? So I'm saying, are you going to wake up or are you going to stay in there? But bearing in mind, you stay in there. You stay in a pit where people... And the thing is, you find it crazy, but there's always someone who wants to help. There's always someone who wants to reach out and help. But I think beware of not letting your trauma allow you to proceed in life.
100.
Because I don't know. Yeah.
I just feel like it's a thing where you just need to be aware of it. Because I think you touched on a point earlier. There's just certain things where the quicker, like, you know how we were speaking last time about there's certain failures you need to, if you're going to fail quick. There's certain things, like, if you don't deal with it now, it will come and catch you when you're up there. And when it catches you up there, it won't be nice. You're better off with it catching you while you're still down here. While you have no audience, no platform, but it's just like, there's no major eyes on you.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like, deal with your toxic traits. And I think it's so important as well in knowing, like, acknowledging, like, well, I do have some toxic traits. It's not everybody else is toxic. Sometimes you've got toxic traits too. Like, I think what was I deep in the other day? I was just like, wow, this is so toxic about you, Joyce. And it's not something that other people would call toxic. But to me, I get what
you mean. No, I get what you mean.
It is toxic. It was just like you were talking about your ability to, like,
cut it. Like, you should put it in here.
Like, you're very dismissible. Like, I think, like, it's just if I'm pushed to a certain extent, I can convince myself that anybody is dismissible. Like, if I need to cut you off, I can do it.
Definitely.
Like, it doesn't matter who it is. Like, we can be as close as can be. But if I've convinced myself now that you've done something, I'm just like, well, time to go. Like, see ya. And it's just that it's a toxic trait. Like, no one talks about that, but it's not.
No one's talking about it.
Like, why is everyone so like? There's no one, Joy. Like, there's nobody that you feel like this relationship can't go. Fair enough. Yeah. You can be okay without anybody. Like, you're an individual, not like without anybody, but you're an individual in that sense. And if someone
like you should be
like
whole. I get what you mean. I get what you mean.
However, it can't be a thing where nobody brings nothing to the table.
But then,
and if that's the case, then you need to change your circle. But
you bear the consequences of it. You have to remember, because I've been in friendships and I've realised as I've grown older, as I've decided to deal with my trauma. And I've noticed that a lot of people want to be where you are, but they don't want to make those sacrifices. And I feel like there's certain levels that I've got to now, which are very low levels anyway, because we're getting somewhere. But I've realised, because I've made that sacrifice of, I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
I've made that sacrifice of, I don't know how to listen sometimes. I'm learning, I'm growing, and it means that some people feel like I don't care.
Yeah.
I've decided to sacrifice what I may see as my comfort to deal with my trauma, to proceed in life. And I think it's key, because I'm tired of people as well being manipulative. People who manipulate you with their trauma. And you have to be careful with people like that. You have to. It's not every day me.
Yeah.
Sis, it's you.
It's you,
isn't
it?
it? Because you have to realise, like, sometimes I realise that, man, I'm good. Like, I'm actually working. Like, it's not like I'm a friend that's stuck on, I don't care. If someone said, like, you tell me, okay, I don't reply much, I would generally try and make, we'll get in there with the replies. But I would try.
Yeah.
But then I think there's people who manipulate you with the fact that, okay, cool, this person wasn't there for you. Bimpe, everything you do will never be pleasing to me. For me, you've got to go. And I think it's also important to realise you can't, as young as we are, I'm not a counsellor. I'm not a psychiatrist. There's only so much I can do. Yes, I can pray. And I can. And I can support you in prayer. And for me, it's also important being kind and showing you grace, but not at the jeopardy of my own mental health.
Sometimes you need
of
to
my
do the work
peace.
yourself.
Do you get what I mean? Of like, God, I'm praying for this person, but I can't do anything. Do you get what I mean? Like, these people who take your peace. And I think for you to protect where you've come from, because we're all coming from somewhere, we've all progressed. But I think it's important to protect yourself from people who may want to stay in their trauma. I think, do you get what I mean? And there's a level of, okay, cool. If, for example, maybe next year, there's some people that I may be able to deal with now. But there's some people now I can't.
And that's okay.
I actually can't.
And that's okay. That's actually my real life. I came to that conclusion. I'm just like, do you know what? Like, it's okay. Like, you know, the people just like, it's always drama. Drama always comes to find me. I'm like, no, Joyce. They're complaining about the drama, but really, why is it that it always finds you? Why is it just...
Are you facilitating it? You're facilitating it. Yeah, no.
It's not if you're facilitating. You want it.
You want it.
You enjoy it.
Joyce, you want it.
You like it.
Joyce wants it. She likes it.
Never me. But yeah, it's just like... So with situations like that, it's just like, you've got to acknowledge people are choosing sometimes to stay in that... You're choosing to stay in that mindset. You're choosing for that to become your identity. Yeah. And if you're not willing to deal with it, then it's not my job to now come and deal with my own and also deal with yours. It's not going to happen.
If anything, put yourself first. And I've realised that as I've started to delve in and as I've started to grow and, okay, God, why do I do this? Okay, God, Holy Spirit, you taught me this. I've realised, yes, I'm levelling up.
Yeah.
Some people can't catch up.
And that's okay.
And that's okay. However, what I have noticed is that they come back. They see it. And it helps them, it influences them, it inspires them. And I think it's okay for you to inspire from a distance. Sometimes if you're too close to people, it's like as you're growing, you lose. You're growing, you lose. You're growing, you lose. So I just feel like it's important for me, if I'm going to say anything, deal with your trauma. Trauma is okay. There's no one in this life. There's even an animal. I'm sure there's an animal that's traumatized or something. Do you know what I mean? But imagine, like, I don't know what I was seeing, but I remember, like, foxes chasing each other. I was like, the fox actually looks scared. Mere humans. Like, trauma is okay. Work on your trauma. Work on it. Do not stay in it. Do not stay in that pit. Do not make it your identity. I think that's the biggest trap you can do. Take it off you, work on it, and move. People who come will come. If they don't come, if they don't want to grow, that's got nothing to do with you.
2019, we move, baby.
We move. No more mad people, man. Leave me alone.
Before people think we're sending shots, let's just end it.
No, I'm not.
But
I'm
yeah,
actually not
you're
sending
not.
shots. No, but if the shoe fits, it
then-
fits. That's your. I'm not. What am I gonna
That's
say?
your
I'm
own-
not sending shots, but if it fits,
It fits.
you've God speaking to you, innit?
Okay. Right. Thank you for coming on today. Hope
Thank
you lot
you.
enjoyed some nuggets. If you want to hear more from Bimpe, then make sure you check her out at Bimpe
_BBA on
underscore
Instagram,
BBA.
on Twitter.
Yup.
Please message me. I generally love getting messages from people who see my content. So holla at your girl.
Perfect. And you can hear more from us at Off Limits UK. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Nobody